Yo, 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 what is up? Welcome to Intentional Grounding. I'm excited to do this show once again this week, coming off of a Buffalo Bills win. I'm so freaking excited. So happy to be here today. Welcome, 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 welcome. And to my friends across the pond, how you doing? This is Buffalo Bills Intentional Grounding. We back at it again with my co-host, Rob T Radio. What's good, my man?
What is good, fella? I mean, what a win to come off of, huh?
Dog, you telling me, man.
And listen, I had people tell me that I struck a chord talking about how anxious I was for week one. Had a couple different people, I appreciate them coming up to me and saying what's up. Say, like, I was kind of feeling the same way. And I got to say, it feels good that they got the win. You got a little 2-week back-to-backer, real heavy, real quick here. But, I mean, I feel pretty good about it, man.
Yeah, it feels so damn good. I mean, you know, there's a lot to take away from this game. I think there's some positives. I think there's still some things to be concerned about with the football team. But you know what the good news is? The good news is we get another answer this coming Thursday as they face the Miami Dolphins, and I'm pumped.
Really, the beginning part of the season last year went incredible. They were so good. So I don't want to put too much stake into it, but it really feels like this is a huge swing game for the season in week 2.
Yeah.
I really do feel that way. I shouldn't probably, but I do. I mean, it's going to give both the Bills or the Dolphins a vibe for the rest of the season. If the Bills win, the Dolphins are just going to be like, there goes that man again. We're playing for second place. And if the Dolphins get the win and the Bills lose, man, it's going to feel like, okay, this is their year. They have the better roster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it feels like such a massive game in week 2 on Thursday night when you have 4 days, you know?
Yeah. And we're going to get into all that too. We do have a special guest coming on the show, one of my dogs, Jeremiah Poyer, Jordan Poyer's brother. Will be on the show tonight.
What?
You know, we're talking Dolphins, so
he better not be wearing any Dolphins gear, man.
Oh, he will. He will be.
I'm turning his camera off.
Yeah. You know, we have to hear the negativity and the hate and all the dirty things that'll come out of his mouth that nobody wants to hear. But you know, because he's a good friend of mine,
okay.
You know, it's like, okay, like we have to bring him in because you know. But guess what? When the Bills win this week, I'm bringing his ass back in here next week.
I don't do that. I don't do that.
He won't have to face the music. That's a me thing, and I will uphold that. Get his butt in here. But
I used to look at my beer pong partners and be like, we don't talk ass like that, dog. That is not. We just win. That's what we do. We don't. Listen, man, we met in our adult lives, right? So there's a whole backstory between the two of us that we don't know. I kind of assumed you were a talker, but I don't know.
I mean,
so yeah,
I don't talk too much.
Okay.
I don't talk too much because it's the Bills. Like, how many times have they ruined our day?
100%.
Right?
100%.
Like I am very careful about talking trash when it comes to sports. Very, very careful.
I'm not a trash talker for anything, and for the majority of my life, Bills being a significant exception. But it's just because, like, I'm just gonna beat you. Like I'm just going to be better than you. And so I don't have to talk about it because I'm going to be captain of the team and we're going to go to the playoffs and I'm going to beat you on the field and I'm going to tackle you short of the first down and I'm going to run right through you when I have the ball and I'm going to beat you on the beer pong table. I'm just going to win. and
Okay,
so
so
I don't have to do it.
now when I played a little ball my life, basketball. I talk some shit on the court. Oh, I would talk it on the court.
That's what I'm saying. Like I
'Cause
feel like
if I can get in your head, I got you. Like I got you.
it never rattled me. If anything, it would make me more focused. But like I never understood those guys because it just doesn't affect me at all. At all.
And it didn't affect me either. Like I could care less.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
because literally in my head, I'm like, you're saying that because you're afraid you're going to lose to me. That's why you're trying to get in my head because you're afraid you're going to lose to me and you feel like you need to use that to your advantage. And I think that's where the Bills are right now, dog. I really do. You know what I mean?
Dog. Oof.
Tell me they're not.
Josh Allen talks his shit out on the field.
Oh, no, I know that. But I'm just saying, like, I think he has a firm belief that on any given day, he can go into Hard Rock Stadium and beat that team.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who the other 52 guys on the field are.
That's fair.
I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's true, but that is what I feel like I get coming from Josh.
Yeah. And it's different too because I feel he's driving the bus, right?
We got to talk about it because it was impressive on Sunday.
He gets to talk his shit. He's driving the bus. So I don't know, man. Like this is like, I mean, the Bills have a tough schedule this year. They got a tough schedule this year. This is a game. This is a pivotal game. Like this is not a game that, I feel like the Bills or fans can overlook. Like the Dolphins are on paper. I feel like they're a better football team on paper. Now paper burns, right? Paper disintegrates, and it's really going to matter what happens on Thursday. And so part of me is like, the Bills aren't going to get blown out, but the Bills haven't lost a game in more than 6 points, and shoot, I don't know how many.
But doesn't this feel like one that could be that?
Oh, nah. I don't think it'll get out of hand.
I mean, I could see it. It doesn't. It's not.
It's a division game, so they're going to be close. You know what I mean?
There are games that I go into and I'm like, I just can't see how they lose this game big or how they lose this game at all. And sometimes I get surprised still.
So
this one, I can see them losing big.
Okay. So
I mean, I can't. I don't think they will, but I can like picture it in my head. You know what I mean? I know what that would look like.
Look at this Bills schedule. Cardinals win. At Dolphins, Jaguars at home, at the Ravens.
Monday Night Football.
At the Texans, at the Jets.
Sunday Night Football?
That's
you skipped the Ravens. Aren't the Ravens in there?
No, I said at Ravens. At versus Jaguars, at Ravens, at Texans, at Jets.
Yeah, and your Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, like a Sunday 1 o'clock, and then another Monday Night Football game. Like it is big guns coming through for the next month.
Jeez.
It's not until like November that you get a break, and even then, you get like 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Brutal.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule.
Brutal.
But hey, let's not sleep on one game at a time. And Josh Allen was you got the full Josh Allen experience on Sunday, dog. Like that was impressive.
Yeah. Josh Allen was impressive. To the tune of 4 touchdowns, 200 some odd yards, and I think if Josh can play point guard this season, I think he has a chance to be an MVP. I think it's a good reset year for him, to be honest. We'll see how it works out. But while we're at it, why don't we just welcome our guest in, dog?
Oh boy. All right.
My dog. Hey, this is my guy right here. Even though, this is All-Pro Poe, Jeremiah Poyer, the brother of the All-Pro legacy defensive back of the Buffalo Bills. Me and All-Pro Poe do a lot of work together. and he is joining us tonight to talk Dolphins. I hate that you're wearing all that filth, but how you doing, big dog?
Not too bad, bro. Just enjoying life down here in Florida and kind of just getting going and just moved into a new place. So I'm excited.
So you just moved. It's all done?
Yeah, I got here last Monday and just
Okay.
kind of got set in throughout the week, and then went to the game. Bro, the game was so hot. Like I've been to some hot games. I've played in some hot games, but like sitting there just baking in the sun was tough.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. So were you sitting in the sun, or did you have a shade seat?
So we have a shade seat, but in the 1 o'clock games, it doesn't get shaded till about 1:30. And so for the first, because I'm there I like to be there for warm-ups, watch them warm up and stuff. And so for the first 45 to an hour that we were there, I'm sitting there baking in that seat. I had to go up top real quick because at the end of the day, I was pretty drained. I'm not gonna lie. I know now that I can't wear certain things, and I need to bring water in, and just I wasn't as prepared as I needed to be. It was a good first experience.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, I don't know why you acting like you brand new going to Florida. You've been down there. You guys, the Poiriers, hang out down there all summer long, even when he was with the Bills.
Not me.
Bro, you were down there too.
I was down here for like a month before going to Costa Rica. That's a month though.
He
already acting brand new, Rob. You see how he's doing this already? Now that he done switched up,
I know, and like he doesn't know us at all. You know what I mean? One of those kind of things.
That's crazy.
All right, so you're down there. You're getting acclimated to the weather. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing more BBLs per capita than you've seen in your entire life, huh?
No. And if there is, they do it well out here. It's not one of them. It's not one of them fake things, It's not nobody looking like an ant out here.
Hey, dog, them big old lips and them big old booties. Them BBLs. They
get you in trouble. I'm not.
It comes natural for them. You don't have to have that, man.
Dog. Some of the most beautiful women live in that damn state.
Yeah.
Whew. Boy, that's trouble. All right, so you're settled in. It's great. How's Jordan doing, man?
He's doing well, man. He's kind of just getting acclimated as well to the system. They hadn't gotten to play together, that DB group, much during training camp, because one Nick after another Nick, and then it's different people not practicing. Yeah. So that week, last week before the game, was the first time they really got acclimated together as a unit, it was dope to see it progress throughout that game. So Jordan's doing well. He's excited for the season and definitely excited for this game.
Now, only tell us what you can tell us, of course, but I saw his hand get caught in a face mask. Never seen anything like that, as he got twisted out of bounds. Is he all right? I mean, I didn't see anything about it on Twitter. Nobody talked about it after the game. And, Poe's the kind of guy, he just doesn't say anything about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He all right? He
has a soft cast on. For his thumb, he fractured it during training camp, and so they made him wear a soft cast after the first pick. He should have had a pick, but
he should have had 2 picks.
He can't close his thumb, so if he's jumping out of, if he can't use his body as help sometimes, but he told me he don't want to use that soft cast anymore, and that was the only reason his thumb got stuck, and to be honest, the soft cast helped once it got stuck, because it was really his body was just turning with the cast because the cast was on so tough. So it didn't hurt him all that much. His wrist was a little banged up from the turn, but it wasn't as bad as it looked.
All right. So, I mean, we brought you here for a reason. Okay. So
yeah, I'm glad what you're wearing and your allegiances. No, I'm kidding. It's an intervention, dog.
It's dog. This is so painful, dog. This is painful.
Aqua and orange, not your color.
I feel like
color.
I think aqua is definitely my color.
Dog, you do look good in it.
I think aqua itself, maybe not the orange so much, but the aqua and then the old school uniforms that they got going.
It just feels like my family's divided. If my family's divided right now,
red, dog. We know that. So
I will say this. that I just, I watched all 22, so I watched every snap from Jordan and the Dolphins, and I'm always rooting for him. Like, there ain't no question. Like, so if he makes plays on Thursday, I'm gonna be jumping up like that's my dog. You know what I'm saying? I do hope they lose, but I
Yeah,
hope
maybe
he
not Thursday. Maybe
I
not
hope he
Thursday.
does his thing.
The rest of the year, maybe not Thursday.
I feel the same way about Josh. I kind of hope he wins the MVP, but I do hope he tosses 2 to Jordan on Thursday. So
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
yeah.
And folks, just FYI, Jeremy here, he's not he's gotten this bad rap as a Bills hater this year. And and we've had hours and hours and hours of discussion and talk. And it's one of those things where we always, he's always going to keep it real. It's not about hating the Bills and hating Josh Allen. And, it's just he likes to be real. So he's going to be real. And sometimes he can antagonize, but Bills fans are they eat it up. They eat it up. So
Yeah.
let's get into it. So I don't know if you got to see the highlights of Josh Allen this past weekend. We've talked ad nauseum about what this offense is going to look like. We saw Josh Allen to the tune of 232 yards, 4 total touchdowns, and Keon Coleman was the leading target and wide receiver with the most receptions in that game. Tell me, like, how do you think it went on Sunday for them?
The slow start, I'm just gonna assume. Well, actually, the way that the Bills have to play, in my opinion, the way that the Bills have to play this year is Josh, that Superman football that we talked so much about last year, him not playing. He's gonna have to do that this year. They're running the football all year, like, and he's gonna have to do that and like it ends up with that wrist injury, and you kind of hope his body stays intact throughout the year. And so I like the way that they played with him. I think with Josh doing that, you can win just about any game. Are you going to win just about every game? No. Sometimes if your defense is popping off, he's going to give you what he's going to give you. He can give you 30 points in a week. There's going to be some defenses that stop him, or if you're able to take him away. But for the most part, I enjoyed watching them play. I think watching Josh play like that is some of the most fun football you can watch. And granted, against the Cardinals, give it, you know what I mean? But watching Josh play like that is super fun. I got to watch it up close for 5 years, and there's not really a better guy when he gets in that bag in the NFL. There's always Mahomes, but watching him play is a little bit more fun than watching Mahomes play, in my opinion.
And to that end, I mean, you guys were there in the early years when we're talking about John Brown and Cole Beasley, and those are good wide receivers, but they're not top tier. And that's what the Bills are missing right now, too. They don't have a top tier guy. And yet Josh has 5 incompletions on the day, and he goes to 9 different targets, 9 different guys get catches. And I just kind of feel like that's the key this year, is kind of maybe going back to what he was doing years ago, where it's just everybody eats. Everybody touches the ball and everybody eats. I'm wondering your thoughts on how that plays in the locker room, and if they can get through a whole year kind of with that mindset.
Well, none of these guys have ever been a one option. I don't think. I mean, other than in college. So like, they all came in with the mindset that we're all going to spread targets. There's not going to be a number one guy, and they have the guys in there and the coaching staff that instills that in them. And so I think it's a good mindset to have. I do think that at some point, a number one, when it gets down to it, is going to have to shake. Right now, it's just Josh. At some point, that's not going to be enough. It's just like Lamar right now. When it gets down to it, Lamar's his number one option, and that's not going to be enough come to playoff times, in my opinion, if they get there, because you have to be able to throw it to a guy in a tight coverage and a tight window that's going to make that tight catch when the game is on the line. And so at some point, he's going to need a number one that he knows he's going to go to. But throughout the season, I think he can definitely put up high numbers with the guys that he has here with no number one. He can just have a bunch of number 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, all the way down the line.
Interesting. I mean, I hope that's the case. I mean, it's going to look like that. But you're right. I mean, there needs to be a guy. I mean, it's nice to spread the ball around, but I think there needs to be a guy that's the guy that steps up. He doesn't have to be the target getter, but I think Josh is going to have to figure whoever that is out. That on third down, like when we talk about Cole Beasley and John Brown and those guys, we do on third down. It was third and Cole, right? Like we need somebody to step up when the chips are down. Who's going to be that guy? So I mean, that's yet to be determined.
I'd assumed it's third and Kincaid, but like I don't think teams are going to allow him to throw the ball to Kincaid all year. So
nah.
they're going to play them the same way they play the Chiefs this year, and Josh is going to have to run I mean, like I think that they're going to play Josh and the Bills the same way they play the Chiefs. Whereas the Chiefs don't really have a number one; it's Kelsey. But like as far as receivers go, they don't really have a number one. And when the chips are down, it's like Mahomes make a play, and it's just like Josh make a play when the chips are down. So I do think that defenses are going to play them the same way that they play the Chiefs. And sometimes Josh is going to throw picks and you're going to lose those games. And sometimes he's not.
Right.
And you just kind of got to live with that right now without a guy that you feel comfortable with throwing the ball to. I mean, I hope Coleman's the guy for Josh. But
yeah, he had a good game.
Not on Thursday.
Hey, we'll see, but you're already talking shit. I to your point about Kincaid, I think Kincaid is gonna have. I want to see him be better on the scramble drill because we see Kelsey eat on the scramble drill with Mahomes, and I think that comes with time and chemistry. So like for instance, Arizona took him out of the game, and it opened some things up for other guys, but there's going to be times where Kincaid has to make the play. He has to make the playoff script. We'll see how that develops.
I think that's the best part about Kelsey is that he used to play quarterback.
Yeah.
And so he understands in scramble drill what's going to be open. He knows where the defenses are trying to play. And so like that takes a long time to get. I don't even think Kittle has that yet. So I think that takes a long time to get there. And Kincaid's smart, and hopefully he works with Josh, and that becomes a viable option on the scrambles.
Trial by fire. So
Yeah.
let's go, Rob. Let's pivot to the Miami Dolphins. I want to know. I mean, there was a close game, 20-17. The Dolphins. I mean, Poe, you and I talked about this offseason how, the Dolphins finally having that leadership that they need in the locker room. We didn't know we'd see it week one, but tell me, what you saw, how the resolve of that team and how they came back. What was the catalyst or the play that they just broke it loose and got them back in the game?
There was a few. I want to say like obviously there's Javon's punch out, the Tyreek on the back of that getting an 80-yard touchdown literally a play later. The 4th and 1 where the entire team is running from right to left to go stop this first down from happening. And you get that stop in their end zone. Now you put yourself in a position where you don't have to gain any yards. You can kick a field goal and tie it. So there's a lot of plays. I do think there was so many and like prominent Bills or Dolphins fans, that were sitting here talking as if the game was over because the offense wasn't getting going. And it reminded me so much of Bills fans that like when things weren't going well, usually it was on the offensive end last year when we were struggling early in games, and then Josh would turn it up late in the game, where you just think the game is over because the offense is struggling at that point. And usually the Dolphins would probably crumble underneath that pressure of having to come back in a game. And it was just interesting to me. I was like, I think I tweeted a couple of these people. I was like, it's not the same team anymore. And they went into halftime and made adjustments on offense to squeak by. They didn't do anything great in the second half. They got a couple big plays, and they're going to have to work to get better. And the offense that you see usually is going to come out at some point. But it was impressive. The way the defense, Anthony Weaver has that defense to where at some point they're going to catch on to what you're doing, and it might be locked from there. And so I love the new additions. I love the leadership that Calais Campbell has shown, that Jordan came in and kind of changed the way the culture is looked at here. And this was just a perfect game, the way it played out to show it, to show exactly the difference in this team from last year and this year.
Yeah, I mean, even the off-field situation, Calais Campbell stepped up and was a leader for.
Yeah, that's big time.
Everything that went down there. So Shout out to him. I know he's a great guy. But I want to stick with the offense for a second because, I mean, you had the absolute lightning strike to Tyreek, and that's viable to happen on any play at any moment. You know what I mean? But other than that, I mean, it was 13 points, Poe. Like other than that lightning strike, the offense puts up 13 points. A couple of those come off turnovers, like you said. That one field goal, they didn't even have to move the ball for if they didn't want to. So, tell me what, in your estimation, was lacking there. Was it a timing thing? Was it a time on task thing? I mean, what was your situation? Thinking about how that offense maybe wasn't quite clicking for week one.
Well, the offense itself wasn't as bad as the score indicated because there was two situations where Jalen got us into field goal range, and we ended up taking a sack, something that Tua's got to work on, not taking the sacks that got us out of field goal range, and then we got a field goal blocked. So if all goes well, we have 9 extra points and we win that game 29-17, which nobody would talk about how difficult it was to score for the Miami Dolphins offense, given those little plays. And that's what it is. It's little plays that throughout the season you probably can fix those little instances to get you more points on the board. So I do think that it wasn't as bad as the score would indicate, or the highlights would indicate, because there was a lot of times we could have put points on the board and we just didn't get it on the board.
So Groot and Vaughn with big days. All right, gotcha. What else?
Tell us about the offensive line. I mean, I think, if I'm a Dolphins fan, to me that has to be an area of concern. What are your thoughts on the offensive line and how they performed on Sunday?
Don't
worry, you could be honest.
No, I will. There was obviously concern going in, and it's because they brought 3 or 4 of the same guys back and then didn't really add a bunch of pieces. I will say that they were graded fairly high, most of them, and with the way that Tua and McDaniels run the offense, for most of the plays, you really don't have to block that long on pass plays. And so I will say that on the run plays, it took them a while to get going on some of these run plays. And they can, I mean, it's just like D-line, O-line. The longer the season goes, I feel like the more constructed your run systems get. The big plays are going to happen from beginning of the season to end of the season at different times. But the running game, the consistency, that takes a while to get going, in my opinion. And your defensive line, the stopping the run, that takes a little bit of, because fitting stuff comes with chemistry and blocking comes with chemistry. And I just think that it takes a while to get going. I will say that for the most part, the O-line didn't play that bad, or they actually didn't play bad at all in that game.
I mean, I felt like it was timing is what it appeared to be. Now, I think, those one-on-one matchups, I think, listen, the Jaguars defensive line gives the Bills fits. I mean, you've seen it for years. Like we talked about it. So that Jaguars defensive line ain't no joke. Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen Hines, like those guys are legit. Like we can't even hate on them like that. But the timing, to me, especially in the run game, the timing that of the offensive line, man, and it was on the interior, not so much on the outside, but the interior has to improve. Aaron Brewer, he gonna have to bring his lunch on Thursday, because to me, I feel like he's the weakest link on this offensive line.
Which is interesting because it used to be Liam, but Liam had the best game out of all the O-linemen.
Right.
So like, I do think it's coming. I don't know. I haven't gotten a good look at Aaron Brewer, but I do think it's coming. And I think Liam, they picked him for a reason. I'm assuming it's leadership. And if he can play like that and bring the same leadership that the reason that he's on the team in the first place, in my opinion, then Aaron will come along. Hopefully as the season goes. I don't know about the backups and how good they are. I haven't looked that deep into their backup O-line, so I'm not too sure. But again, I the Dolphins are a zone
Right. Zone
outside.
blocking. Yeah.
Like
Right.
get outside the numbers, move the line, and let the running backs pick a gap at some point. Whether it's whenever they want to get downhill, that's when they're gonna get downhill. And a lot of the times it's outside because these linemen are faster, little weaker, and so they move, but they want these, like, they probably have the fastest line in football, I want to say, because they want this line to move and get out there and just get in the way and let these running backs kind of speed out. So that's on film. They love playing off tackle. And so hopefully they can get downhill is at some point this game, whether it's setting stuff up with some outside stuff and helping out these guards block some of these guys, but that comes with time. So I don't know what they added this week.
Well, and when you talk about a scheme like that, it makes, in my estimation, linebacker play really important. So give me your thoughts on Dorian Williams. I mean, I think we all know how we feel about TB, and he was a beast out there again this week, but the Bills definitely have questions on the linebacking unit. So tell me what you think about those boys trying to get in, knife in, and take out those offensive linemen on those zone run plays.
I mean, TB is probably could have been a Pro Bowler last year. I'm assuming if he doesn't get hurt for the end of part of the season. I think he's still got that motor, and he's probably the best to do it. Now, the coverage, I'm assuming what's going to hurt those. Well, I don't think TB played that well in coverage last week. If I only got to see parts of the game, but from the looks of it, he didn't play as well as you would like him to in coverage. And part of that's probably getting everybody aligned. He didn't have Taron for part of that game. He's got a lot of responsibility on himself. And Dorian's had that problem. Dorian has a knack for being in the wrong place really fast. And that was what happened last year. That's why he didn't play last year as much. They trust him this year, so I'm hoping he's better. I have nothing against none of these guys. I just call it like I see it. So,
look at him being nice. Look at him being nice.
Because last year I was hard on Dorian because Dorian in the games Dorian would fly around to the wrong spot all the time. That's why he wasn't playing. And that's why Dotson got the spin that he got, and it wasn't Dorian. You drafted a third or fifth round, I can't remember. Third round guy, and he's not playing because he's in the wrong spot. So hopefully that's on film. Hopefully,
there were some improvements. No, man, I felt like he played a good game. There were some improvements in his play this past week. You know, me and Rob were talking.
I think you're being generous.
Hater. Me and Rob were talking, and you know, I think one of the things that was wrong was because Arizona made an emphasis on attacking the edges. You know, if you're a linebacker and you see them attack, it wasn't misdirection. They were just straight attacking the edges. And I felt like, you know, Dorian's ability to cross a lineman's face, scrape, and get his nose dirty. I felt like he didn't do as good a job as he needed to, seeing that the assignment was right there, was simple. It wasn't like he had to diagnose run, pass, play action. Like they were just coming at him. Mm. And I felt like, you know, he could have improved there.
Yeah. And he's probably an off the cliff guy. Like he's probably somebody that's going to fly. Like if you try to stretch out Dorian, he probably gets a little too far upfield. And if you see that on film, you're just going to run underneath it. So you let him fly side to side and just run underneath. Now TB has a knack of getting side to side and then getting into the gap that they're trying to run into. I don't know if he wrestled or whatever, but like he gets low and somehow he gets into the gap that you want to run into without getting blocked. So hopefully they can.
TB's in there taking on blocks.
Yes.
And guess what you need? You need the other linebacker to come in and make the tackle.
Make a play.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's, you know, it's as much as TB is excellent at doing that, he needs support. He needs another dude there. You know what I mean? And last year you're able to do it with your safeties, of course, if you didn't have it from the linebacker play. But this year, I mean, where's that support coming from? And I feel like, you know, Sturls and I talked about it on a different show, but you got to find people that help accentuate what TB does well, because I feel like he's going to be the engine that drives that defense along with the defensive line. I mean, that's it. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see how the Dolphins attack it, because I think there's some pretty apparent ways that they can go after their linebacker core.
It'll be interesting to see who sets the coverage too, because I know last year Jordan did it. Taron probably had the responsibility this year, and if Taron's not playing, then you're probably asking Cam Lewis.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we talked about Terrell Bernard. I mean, he was doing a lot of it on Sunday. I mean, the communication that was coming from that man from snap to snap was just, I mean, it was like
I saw some frustration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a hell of a job. That's why I was saying in previously, like, he had a really good game just in terms of like making sure this defense was sound. Now we saw some vulnerabilities in the back end from safety that I'm really concerned about. But I mean, shout out to TB for kind of keeping the engine going, and they kind of locked up in the second half, but you weren't playing the Dolphins. Like, the Dolphins have the ability to exploit some of those miscommunications. So talk to me about the flow of the Dolphins offense. I mean, we saw Devon Achane. They used him in the pass game an awful lot. What do you see? I don't even know if he's playing this week or whatever, but what do you see? What did you like from the offense this week?
I actually don't mind there, because that's what it is. They're running the ball by throwing Devon Achane the ball and then running a stretch to the left, like just moving the line of scrimmage to the left a bit. That's what those screens that they're calling are. So I don't mind it. I do wish that they would get straight up and down more. But I think Devon is going to play. I don't see why wouldn't. I saw him walk out a little bit with his.
Was he limping? Did he say he hates football? Like,
no, he definitely didn't say that.
He didn't say that.
I'm assuming the non-practices, the short week, so they're just not going to practice. Like, they had a walkthrough today, and the two running backs are probably just not going to practice today. They relied heavily on the three running back. Jeff Wilson also had a good game, and like the way he's running downhill, I think he was running downhill the best out of all the running backs, finding holes, getting 6, 7, once they started using him in the run game, they were able to get short, third and short, second and shorts, which is what this Dolphins, the second they get a second and short and you have to play a little tighter, that's when Tyreek's able to take the top off, and Jalen's able to take the top off. So you do have to get that running game going a little bit more, but I enjoy that running style offense where you're throwing the ball to Achane and kind of moving that line of scrimmage. Bernard is a good weapon to have to kind of nix that, how fast he moves side to side.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Achane will play. I think Mostert will play. If Mostert doesn't play, I have full faith in Jeff Wilson Jr. to run that part of the game, the downhill part of the game that Mostert does.
Yeah, man, there's that scheme lends to you can put athletic, fast running backs back there and they could be productive. The way they open things up and layer elements of that run game is pretty impressive. I think the scary thing about it, all of it is, we haven't even talked about wide receiver, but the fact that the way they're using Devon Achane is scary, because I felt like he had some really good games against the Bills last season, and now you don't have Milano. Like, the Bills had Milano in week 4. That helped a lot. Milano and TB, and you had, our safeties back there that could make adjustments and get people lined up. Now you don't have that, right? So TB and Milano, they got to play free in week 4. Now I'm scared about what's at safety for the Bills. Let's talk about the wide receivers. We saw Tyreek Hill bust off an 80-yard run. Tell us about the wide receivers. How, all 22 says a story, but Tua looked very he looked comfortable at times. It wasn't like he was. I saw him go from not just hooking on one read as we've seen him do before. I felt like it was a more composed Tua, where he was going through his progressions and reads. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think that was a big emphasis for him. I don't know what it was last season, but it looked a little panicky when things didn't. When the first read wasn't there and the window closed a little bit, it looked a little panicky. Now, there was like one throw that I think he made where he stared down a guy into the window, and the linebacker literally just came across the field
Right.
and just stuck in each of the windows until. But other than that, like I think he's done a really good job at getting more comfortable, being confident in holding the ball a little bit longer if he needs to throw it to a different read. They don't need to do it that much in this offense. A lot of it's timing. But there's nothing I can say about the receivers. The receivers, I think the most impressive thing about the receivers for me that I didn't already know is that they block better than any receivers that I've ever seen be number one and number two guys that are getting paid as much as they're getting paid. Like the Tyreek and Jalen block like some of the best receivers or they couldn't do that. Devon A-Chain running back screens all the time. Like they're blocking like left tackles outside in this zone scheme that they run through the screens. Like they block extremely well. And that's the most impressive thing to me. I already knew the other stuff. I already know that they can take the top off. They can run any route in the route tree. They're going to be open. They can go up and catch any ball. Like I knew that stuff, but I never understood why they run that wide receiver screen as a run play so much. It's because Jalen and Tyreek block extremely well, and that's why they can do that. So that was probably the most impressive to me that I've seen since I've been here.
All right, so I want to hold your feet to the fire a little bit. You know these two teams really well. Why don't you give me one area where the Bills have the distinct advantage, one area where the Dolphins have a distinct advantage, and then, I mean, give me the Bills win if and the Dolphins win if. Guy, you guys see, I'm going to make you talk nice about the Bills. He's not ready. He wasn't prepared for this.
Okay, well, that's an easy answer is because Josh is the second best quarterback in football. So, like, they have an advantage at quarterback because he can run for 155 yards, 200 yards, and still win you a football game. Josh is the second best quarterback in football. So that's the advantage that the Bills have. I don't, and at O-line. So I say O-line and quarterback, the Bills have the advantage. I would probably give defense and wide receiver to the Dolphins. And so I think the Bills win if Josh rushes for over 125 yards.
Golly. How many quarterbacks lose after rushing over 125 yards?
Or I guess I'll say 100. I'll say 100 to make it, because I don't think that they're going to give Josh a lot of throwing space out there. I think they're going to, I don't know, but I think they're going to play him like Mahomes. That's how I would play him. And so we're going to rush 4 and hope they get home and see what happens on the back end. We're going to lock it down in the back end and try to make you hang on to it as long as possible and hope you make a mistake. And Josh might make a mistake because he's been known to do that. So I would say he'd have to rush for, or I'll make it 80. Rush for 80 yards. We'll go down a little bit. He's got to rush for 80 yards. He's got to rush for 2 touchdowns.
All right. All right. And the Dolphins win if?
The Dolphins are going to win if they have 2 turnovers.
So you think it comes, I mean, it kind of sounds like you feel like it comes down to mistakes.
It's going to come down to it's going to come down to if Josh can keep a mistake-free game.
Yeah.
Because I do think the Dolphins are going to score no matter what.
But I mean, that indicates that you feel like it's going to be a closer game. You know what I mean? If it comes down to mistakes like that, it would have to be close for those mistakes to matter. You know what I mean? So
I do think
you feel like they're evenly matched.
Yeah. I think that I don't want to say that either team can blow either team out, in my opinion, depending on how the offenses play. My assumption is that this offense on the Dolphins is ready to score a lot of points on this defense. And so it's going to come down to how many turnovers can this defense take away to give the offense the ball back in this specific game. Because right now there's this enigma out there that the Dolphins can't beat the Bills. And so that if that's the narrative going in, this is going to be a closer game.
You said it, not me.
That's the narrative. Tua said it in the interview. He said until we beat them, there's that narrative out there. So as long as that narrative is there, it's going to be a close game because that's the outside noise, the narrative, it'll be a close game because the Bills fully believe they have this thing over the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are ready to knock it down. But the second they knock that down, waterfall, that dam might come down, and that waterfall might. I don't know.
Here we go. So tell me if this is. You guys tell me if this is crazy.
Good conversation, and then
tell me if this is crazy. So I feel like the Dolphins win if the Bills can't. If they don't have an answer for the screen game, one, we saw. I mean, even last year, I think the Bills had a hard time containing the screenplays. We saw James Conner and those boys, get some chunk yardage out of screenplays, and we know, if there's a team that exploits something like that, it's the Miami Dolphins. And I think, the more they use pre-snap motion, the orbit motion, the jet motions, and stuff like that against this Bills team, that causes the defense to have to communicate more, the more confusion they can bring. I think that in and of itself is going to cause the Bills defense to be very vulnerable. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Poe. You're taking shots. Go ahead.
I didn't take no shots. I just
like you don't know anybody on that Bills defense anymore. Okay.
No, I didn't take no shots.
You see how he does? You see how he is, man?
Yeah. New hat, new sweatshirt, new mindset. Yeah, I got you.
That's crazy. The reason, in my opinion, that the screen was so hard to defend for this Bills team is you always had two prolific pass rushers on the edge. And if you see like how the screen work out against the Chiefs in comparison to the screens against, like, say, somebody like the Browns, the Chiefs in the screens, we had told the DNs that you need to get your hands up every time that Mahomes looks to the flats. And he's 6'7". Greg is 6'7". And so like that, they're playing for that type of situation. Now, with how good these DNs are, you're going to be able to get some screens out there, and it's going to be down to how fast your linebackers and safeties can read that a screen is coming. And that's hard to do when you have a lot of guys in and out of the lineup, and how fast something twitches. And I don't know about these safeties. I'm not going to say anything about them.
We do.
I'm not going to say anything about the safety position. I love DeMar. I think Cam Lewis has been an underrated player for a while. He's just been behind some.
He's gonna play nickel. He's gonna play nickel this year.
And that's the Terran problem. And that's kind of where I was gonna go. I think the screen game, man, I think it comes down to the cornerbacks for a couple different reasons. One, your outside guys, can they handle the wide receivers? And that way your safeties and linebackers can focus on the running backs and that screen game, rushing the ball, all that kind of stuff, right? Can you leave Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford one-on-one with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill? Can you do it? Maybe not. We'll have to see. The other thing is, and I'd feel a whole lot better about it if Terron was there, but whoever's playing nickel, probably Cam Lewis, going to have to make some plays.
Yeah.
You're going to have to make some tackles because you are going to be the outside defender. And yes, those linebackers are going to be coming from the inside for support. And yes, the safeties will make it there eventually, but those plays are going to be coming right at that nickelback. And I think it's been underappreciated nationally, not by Bills fans, but nationally. I think it's been underappreciated how important Taron Johnson is to that nickel defense, essentially being a third linebacker. Like the reason they're comfortable playing nickel so much is because he was basically a linebacker. You weren't losing too much going from a linebacker to him, and then you're gaining so much in coverage. So I think it's a terrible week to lose him. And whoever ends up playing that role, listen, they might not play nickel as much, period. They might put a third backer on the field. I don't know. But it's going to be, to me, a lot about how those corners play in run/screen support. And how they play one-on-one with those two fast wide receivers.
It's interesting how you look at it. I don't think the corners will be able to. That is true because you have two safeties that are headhunters, and it's interesting that they started both Hamlin and Rapp outside of Mike Williams, where Mike Williams can tackle, but like he's more of. He could play free a little bit better than mine. Yeah, I've seen DeMar play. And I've seen Taylor Rapp play, and both of those guys hunt for tackles. they hunt for like to get in the lane and get some contact. And I don't know if you're going to be able to run that cover 4 shell with them back there, because they like to bite. They like to come up and make plays. They get a little flat footed because they want to come up and make a tackle. And so I probably see a cover 3 shell, and that safety is going to come down and help them with the screen game. That's what I would assume. And then it's kind of on your corners to make a lot of tackles one-on-one with the wide receivers out there if they decide to run a lot of underneath stuff. So I don't see a world where the corners can guard these wide receivers one-on-one if you're leaving them out there on an island. I don't see it.
Well, and that's the McDaniel offense, is those crossers across the field. And the nice thing we always had was 2 guys back there that you trusted to make the tackle and not let something that was 15 yards turn into something that was 85 yards. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think it's going to be important. Can you leave them one-on-one with guys on that back end and try to shut down that running game if they bring it like that?
Or are you going to go back to your cover 4 and let the safety slice, and then your linebackers, a lot of pressure on them to get sideline to sideline?
Well, like, and I think you made a great point, Poe, is if Mike Edwards is healthy enough to play. Like I think they held him out more because they wanted to get him healthy for a game like this rather than.
Did they put him on special teams?
No, I don't know if he'll play special teams. I think if he needs to start. If they're going to play him, in my opinion, dude needs to start.
He played special teams.
Like, they might be thinking, hey, we can give 2 different looks in the 2 different first 2 weeks if we change who we have back there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I thought Mike Edwards would get more playing time with the Rap because I thought he was better at the coverage.
Right. That's what
playing safety.
That was the logical sense. Yeah.
Now, I saw Mike Edwards in there on special teams on that kickoff return back to the touchdown. They haven't played special team, maybe because Terrence hurt and Cam Lewis is
I don't know. I wish I had an answer for that. I don't
or maybe
know.
DeMar just beat him out. Which is great.
It's hard to believe though.
That's what I was going to say. Is like it's hard to believe that, and I don't know. Maybe it was comfortability with the system, right? Like, do they not feel like you can put him out there on special teams, but if he doesn't know all the coverages, you're going to go with Ingram or Cam Lewis back there before you go with him. Maybe, like you like to say, Sterles, it was a time on task thing. But he definitely offers a different look that I don't think any of the other safeties offer. But we'll see what Bishop brings eventually. Right. But I mean, as far as coverage safety, he's the only one they got.
That's probably, and now that I think about it, they asked the safeties to not only play their cover 2, cover 4 shows, but they asked the safeties to play the A gaps or B gaps or C gaps. They asked them to fit the run. And so I get it now. If Mike Edwards is not a hitter, if he's not somebody that wants to come down and play in the box and come up field and make tackles, and I get it that you put DeMar's going to make tackles, Rap's going to make tackles. They love to fly up field, but that's also a place of weakness. If they like to fly up field and we have long drawn out play actions, like those receivers are going to get over the top in a hurry. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it with the safeties.
Not this week. Don't do that this week. Sterles was already had a little bit of uneasiness about this. You're not helping, Paul. You're just.
I'm nervous. I'm anxious. Like I want them to win this week.
It could go either way, man. I mean, you look at it like both these teams won very similarly last week, having to battle through adversity, come back, get in the game, make plays. I mean, that is that's something that we haven't seen the Dolphins do. Like they usually get down, and then once you got them down, like the Titans, game over. Like, so it's different. So I feel like this is going to be it's going to be close. It's going to be close, man.
I think if I'm being fair, the Bills didn't have a great start. I mean, it was a nerve-wracking game, but they came back and won that game like they're going to win. Like that's how the Buffalo Bills will need to play all season to win games. They're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive on defense than they were in the first half. They did that in the second half, and I think it worked for them.
Yep.
They're going to have to spread the ball around on offense. Josh is going to have to be incredible, and that's how they're going to win games. The Dolphins, I feel like, won in a way that they don't expect to win all year. I think they expect that offense to crank a little bit more than it did. And so I don't know. I mean, that's not to say that they can't get it going in week 2, but
it's interesting the way you put it, because like I think that this, so like I think the mindsets of yes, the offense expects to crank all year in a way where they're going to get a good amount of points all year, but that defense has gotten to a point where they don't care what the score is. They're going to keep playing, and at some point this offense is going to turn it on, whether they're down, tied, or up by 20. I think this defense got to a point, and that's why I think the pickups of Calais, Jordan, and the linebacker they got that was a captain over in Seattle, those guys are, I forgot his name. Those guys are really important to a defense where, like last year, if you get up on Miami, the game's probably over. Like at some point, like they're gonna break, because why would we put up 45 the year before with a Tua led? Because we got up by 14, the offense came alive, but the defense just folded, and you don't want that to happen. And that's what happened in the Chiefs game. That's what happened. And now this was the perfect win. Now we might not win like that all year, but that was the perfect win to show that they're capable of winning like that. And I don't think that Bills game, on the flip side of it, that was a perfect example of Josh is going to have to be what Josh was in the second half, even to beat a team like the Cardinals. And I'm not dogging the Cardinals. Cardinals could come out and go to the playoffs this year because Kyler looks back on his business. But to beat any team, doesn't matter how good or bad, Josh is going to have to come out and be like that. And they can beat anybody if he's playing like that.
Every week.
But like he's going to have to, and he's not going to be able to make mistakes like that. And are they going to win all the games? No. But they're going to win a lot of games because of him, and that's why I feel like he can win the MVP.
Yeah. Okay. Let's give our predictions on this game. And for those of you who are watching this show, welcome to Intentional Grounding, right here on Sports Social. To our friends across the pond, man, dude, this is Buffalo Bills football talk. We got my guy in here, Albro Poe, and my guy Rob T Radio. So make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe, and Poe. We'll give you a chance to plug what you got going on as we get up out of here. But let's give our predictions for the show. I'm going to be pretty busy the rest of the week, so both of you guys already know what I'm doing. So we'll leave it at that. So I usually we stay in here for an hour and a half, almost 2. But I got things to do tonight, so I can't be here forever. Okay,
now. We get it.
You guys should know that. already, so.
Poe, why don't you give us your thoughts? Because we all know what you're going to say. And before I throw up my lunch, why don't you just...
I think that the Dolphins win 24-20. And I'll just leave it at that.
Give me a Tua stat line.
Okay. 25 for 32. 295 yards.
Yeah,
I mean, that's him doing whatever he wants.
Woo!
He threw that. It was a similar stat line as last week, and he just didn't.
I mean,
25 of 32 means he misses 7 passes.
Ooh.
We gotta have a talk with Bobby Babbage after that.
I'll keep it there because I think your DBs are great.
They are good. They are good.
Great DBs, even without Terran.
Yeah.
Who's going next, me or you, Sturls?
I'll let you close it. Okay. I'm gonna go Bills 28-20. I think Josh will have 249 yards. 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground. I think James Cook gets in the end zone this week. I think Tua is probably going to be more around the 220. I think, they're going to focus a lot on Tyreek. So I think Tyreek will have 60, 70 yards. I think, Waddle will probably have around there. And then, the rest of the guys will kind of, get the rest of the yards. So that's what I think. I think that's modest, right? Don't you think, Poe?
Yeah.
Like that's not too crazy, huh?
It's reasonable. Now, see, listen, I don't know if Poe knows this about me, But I bet every game every week. It's part of our Sunday show that we do. We talk about all the different lines. The only one I don't bet is the Bills, because I definitely have rose-colored glasses, and I know that. So, you know, I will fully admit that this is a homer pick. But I think Josh is going to go nuclear. Like, I think the dude is going to want to prove that he does own the Dolphins exactly the way that the Dolphins are talking about that he owns the Dolphins. And throughout the offseason, the discourse has been the team around him isn't good enough. And a lot of people are saying that respectfully, because they're saying that's why he's got a chance to win his first MVP. And I don't think that's wrong. I think that's a great point. And I think Josh is going to want to go out there and just show off a little bit. So I'm saying the Bills win, and the Bills win big. Sorry. Your boy Poe gets in there, gets a shot on Jay Aylis. I'm sure he's been waiting for forever. But I'm gonna say the Bills go in, and he just goes howitzer on them and puts up over 400 yards, and the Bills win. Bills win.
Let me bookmark that. Hold on, let me bookmark that.
Bills win.
I got that clipped.
Big, lots of points.
All good.
Sorry, dog. Sorry. It's nothing personal. It's nothing
I have that script. I told y'all last year.
He said he had the script.
That ain't happening. I got the script. Bills could win. I'm not going to tell you whether they win or not, but Bills could win. But he's not going for 400. Are you joking me?
400 would be. I can't remember the last time Josh went over 400. It's been a minute.
Ooh. Kansas City.
Which one? Regular season?
No, the last time that I've seen him go for 400 was
against Kansas City
in the playoff 13-second game.
Oh, yeah, that's been a minute.
Yeah.
Golly. Okay, see, now it gets worse because you're bringing up old scars, old wounds here. Oh, man, Poe.
Yeah, but that one hurts all three of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. It does. Good point. Good point. Poe, what you want to tell everybody where they can find you and your work, what you got going on, etc.?
I'm at JPoeNA on Twitter. I do a lot of these podcasts. I got a lot set up throughout the week. However, I might change based on how Thursday goes, depending. That's pending. Sometimes my analysis of the film doesn't need to be shared with everybody else. So I make that.
That's fair.
Well, Poe, do me a favor. Tell Pops and Jordan and Rachel, give them my blessings, condolences, and all the things, man, for this coming season and this week. You know, regardless of the score, you already know.
Condolences, no.
Because you know the Bills are gonna win. But blessings for sure. I already feel like I'm part of the Pour Your Family, dog. So I feel like my house is divided. You know, I rock with Jordan like that. So it's always love with you and I, bro. Even though I'm gonna hate your guts on Thursday and I'm gonna text you.
You probably not going to. I probably will get one text at the beginning of the game from you, and then you're not gonna say a word.
Oh yeah,
he does that all the time though. He's like, "Dog, I was talking to you the whole time." Like, no, you weren't.
No. You said one text at the beginning, and then you saw the game was going. You didn't say nothing else. Stop playing.
Oh man, I hate you both. Because this was what he's saying is true. What Rob is saying is true of me. I get so wrapped up in these games, and I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk shit because it's the Bills, and I know how it works. I know how this game works, man.
Okay, but you want to talk shit, like we know you.
I want to
win. They got Josh. They're supposed to win.
I want to, but sometimes
he just spent the whole pod telling us how the Dolphins have the better roster. Now the Bills.
They got Josh though. That's what you got.
So okay, Poe. So next week, I mean, I do. You know, when the Bills win, I do expect you to come in here, and we're gonna have to talk about the recap of this game.
I will come in
regardless
of outcome.
Yeah. You will. Yes, you will. Yeah. Yes, you will. All right, man. Well, that being said, this sucks. This just sucks, dog. This just I hate this. I hate this so much. But You can find us every single week right here. You can find this podcast wherever you get your podcast, Sports Social, overseas. This is we're trying to grow the brand. We're trying to grow the NFL. We're trying to grow the Buffalo Bills, fan network across the pond. So if you guys are listening to this, man, thank you so much for the support. Everything has been going great lately. Hopefully we talk about the Bills being 2-0. We're going to talk about the Bills being 2-0. But, hey, man, you guys be good, be easy. This is Intentional Groundings. And guess what, y'all? We up out of here.